Ooh, ooh. Y'all know what it is. Big fish-ish. We're going to get right to it today. A lot of stuff going on with Andrew Tate. I'm not sure if y'all keep up with Andrew Tate. However, he just did a BBC interview, and I'm not sure exactly the charges that or the investigation that's going on with him because they haven't charged him, but they locked him up in some type of dungeon in wherever he is. I think he's in Romania. It just anybody looking at it, even if you don't like him, it just seems like there's more to it than whatever it is they're looking to quote unquote eventually charge him for or to build up a case against him. It doesn't seem like he did anything wrong from my perspective, um, and based on the information that I've been looking at. But it's just his influence. Let's be real. It's just his influence. He is extremely influential, especially to the younger kids in our society. What's going on right now, all the feminism, the LGBTQ, trans, woke stuff. Where obviously, if that's getting pushed and he represents something on the opposite end of the spectrum, the powers that be who are pushing all that other weirdo stuff, agenda wise, because I always have to say this because you never know who's watched what videos and if people are up to date. And I separate people who are actually lesbian, bisexual, and gay, and LGBTQ people with the overall group and the agenda. All right, it's almost as if same thing is like Black Lives Matter. I'm black, my life matters, but the group Black Lives Matter has zero to do with black people, in my opinion. At least the black people that I'm around. So it's you separate the movement from the actual people. So when I talk about the agenda and the powers that be, they're pushing the agenda. They're pushing the overall agenda. They're pushing whether it's trans, whether it's the LGBTQ overall, whether it's the women's feminism movement, all these different things. We know what's being pushed by the powers that be. It's like a battle between traditional conservative values and then whatever progressive, futuristic type of lifestyle a lot of these people want to push people to live. So that's really what the battle is. And Andrew Tate, he just happens to be one of the most influential people on the wrong or right side, depending on what side you're on. To me, he happens to be on the right side, but all the people on the wrong side, like I said, pushing all this weirdo stuff, pushing it, and I'm talking about the agendas, it's going to be an issue. So it's funny. I was listening to, so he just did an interview with BBC. This is the first interview that he did since being detained and coming home. And the interview went, I guess, as a lot of us, turn on the TV, it's distracting. The interview went as a lot of us would expect, or I should say, you're not surprised when you're watching it. When you're watching him getting interviewed, and I may show some clips from it, or at least play the first few minutes, because that way you'll get a feel. But when you're watching it, clearly, whoever's interviewing him, she's not an interviewer. She's not a journalist. You know what I mean? She's an activist. She's clearly pushing a particular agenda, and it just is what it is. She's trying to box him into a particular category in order to project him in a certain way that fits into a box that people can call a misogynist. I don't know, whatever else they call him. And it really, you would think that people would, and he mentions this in the interview, that you would actually want to get some more information on it, that you would want to do your job as a journalist. And instead of just talking about stuff from years ago that every other person has already discussed and trying to take stuff that he's done, like let's say a long form interview or a conversation with a group of people, you'll just take certain words out of it remove all context and just hold on to a quote that we all know that a lot of stuff that we say that when it's taken out of context, and if you don't have the context around it, and if you just take that little piece, it can sound crazy. It can make anybody look crazy. It can make a lot of us look in ways that we don't represent. So instead of her digging deeper into the combo and actually getting some information and actually wanting to fight for justice in a lot of ways, like you could not agree with somebody, you could not like the things that they're promoting. However, there has to be an understanding of what is just, what's fair, what's right. And if somebody got mistreated in a certain way that you don't think is right, then let's speak on that as well. Let's give them the opportunity to talk about that, because we know that it is an unjust situation, rather than just further trying to bash the man and keep building on a lot of this unfair treatment while he's fighting a case. Or I can't even say he's fighting a case, because I don't think they press charges against him, whatever. So we're going to get into it. And one of the things that I want y'all to think about, where this lady, she keeps saying how dangerous he is. She keeps quoting other people saying how dangerous he is, other groups, all these other people that are obviously on that woke, quote unquote, woke agenda, and pushing all these other movements and agendas that I keep bringing up. So it's as I'm sitting here, going through the interview, I'm taken back for a few different things, because I'm sitting here saying Andrew Tate's banned for a lot of the things that they mentioned. Where's my notebook? For being misogynist, for being a bunch of stuff, but the main thing that keeps coming up is the misogynist. And I keep thinking, I'm like, yo, why don't the powers that be ban hip hop? Why don't they ban drill music? Why don't they ban a lot of this rap that is literally promoting, embracing, screaming, and yelling about being misogynist, about being violent, about killing, about destroying? Why is it never brought up to where that influence? Because obviously, when you talk about a lot of our music sets the tone on our culture. And if our cultures is being influenced by something that's destructive, to where it's impacting our communities in a destructive way, why wouldn't that be banned? How come that never comes up? But instead, those individuals, the more ignorant they can talk, the more misogynist, the more violent, all these different things, they'll actually get a bigger check. Go figure, right? The more you can talk about these things. Matter of fact, you got, and I've spoken about it before, you got rappers like Cardi B, who can talk about all this stuff from a woman's standpoint, talk about how she's drugged and raped men, robbed them, all these different things. But you know what we reward you with? All of these amazing deals with companies, all of these endorsement deals. Matter of fact, we're even going to allow you to interview the presidential candidate who eventually became president, Joe Biden, on behalf of, your community, Black folk. You get rewarded. But when Andrew Tate puts out his message, which is the opposite of the destruction that's put out in the rap music, which allows somebody like Cardi B to be famous and a lot of these other rappers, how come that energy is different? Why do you reward the destructive one, but then lock up the person who's actually using his influence in a positive way? Now, I'm asking this question kind of sarcastic, just because I already know why, and y'all know why. But let's have a convo anyway. So let's take before I get into some stuff that I wanted to cover just in my notes. I just wrote down certain topics that I wanted to make sure I touch on. Let's actually get into a little bit of this interview. We're only going. All right, let's see. Theater mode. All right, let's see. Get this on the screen. All right, y'all take a little listen, and I may chime in from time to time, but for the most part, I'm just gonna let it play for a few minutes, and then y'all can kind of get it, feel for it.
BBC, if you want to join the real world, we have a link in the description.
Andrew Tate.
Hello.
You've agreed to do an interview with the BBC today.
Yep.
The material is going to be published on television, on radio, online.
Perfect.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yep.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say and the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concern's about the things I say. I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have. I would argue that a lot of the things that are already out there inside of the legacy media and the matrix as a whole are far more damaging than the things I say.
It's the concern about the influence you have being a harmful influence, but let's start with the allegations.
Not necessarily a harmful influence. The fact that I'm massively influential over the youth, and I understand that, but it's my influence as a whole which people are afraid of, not necessarily the things I say.
Let's start with the allegations. Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Exploited any women for
Absolutely
money?
not.
But you have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in the webcam industry for you.
No. Firstly, let's begin let's start at the beginning. I'm facing charges. The first one you mentioned, the rape one, is already been thrown out by a judge because there's no evidence of it. Secondly, it's very difficult for me to sit here and have a very frank and honest conversation with you while we're in the territory of Romania about a legal case that's going on within Romania. I have to protect myself. I've agreed to do an interview with you, and I want to be as honest with you as possible. But I can't incriminate myself in any way, and I have to be very careful with what I talk about.
There are no charges yet.
Correct, there are no charges.
Has said that
there are no
more
charges,
evidence
and I've agreed to speak to you, but I have to be as honest and frank as I can.
There are no charges. Hold up. There are no charges. So all of this is why I can't stand certain people where they change their energy. Everything is innocent until proven guilty as long as you like that person. But when it's somebody that we dislike, they're guilty, cancel them, throw them away, lock them up, throw away the key. Come on now.
While also protecting myself and following my legal counsel.
So let's talk about what you've said yourself then. You have said on the website, for your original website for the Hustlers University, that you emotionally manipulated women to fall in love with you so that you could get them working in the sex industry for your financial gain.
As I said, I have to be very careful with what I say, but let's put it this way. No women are coming out against me and accusing me of doing it.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Who?
There's testimony from the current investigation.
The current investigation, which I cannot discuss, which I know intimately and you don't, I can tell you right now that the women who are in this case file, there are 2 American women who have been caught already admitting they're lying, and then nobody else is accusing me of anything.
To begin with, it's very common in cases like this that the alleged victims do not always see themselves as victims.
Well, that's very interesting. It's actually extremely interesting because if I was a matrix-controlled organization and my goal was to slander somebody and try and destroy their name, you're telling me that they've chosen a crime which, 1, is heinous, of course, because it damages the person's credibility, and 2, you're saying that even if everyone else involved, if you have 5 people and everyone's sitting there saying, no, nobody's hurt anybody, we like Andrew, we've all worked together, or we're friends, etc.
That's not what everybody's saying.
No.
Let me read you some of the testimony from the current investigation.
Can I finish this?
One of the witnesses said...
Can I finish, please?
You're not answering the question I've asked you. You're not answering the question I've asked you.
I am answering the question. Let
me read you the testimony of one of the witnesses.
You're saying the people who are involved in this, even if they say they're not victims, that they're still going to try and attack me and pretend they're victims.
They are treated as victims by the case that's ongoing. And not all of them are saying that. One of the witnesses says...
And real quick, yeah, I believe his team is telling, oh, shoot. Hold on, my bad. I wasn't showing y'all. My bad, bear with me. I'll be all right.
We can't just...
But yeah, so the video's back. My fault that I didn't have the video shown. But what what his team is saying is that they obviously can't discuss it. But what I was going to chime in is just to say, like, yo, notice her energy and notice the fact that if you're, this is actually recorded with his phone, because BBC obviously used their cameras, their mics, but he was also smart enough to say, I'm not going to let them edit anything, rearrange how the conversation actually went to try to paint me in some sort of picture. And you can already tell from her energy. You can already tell from her energy what she's on. So let's listen to a little bit more.
We can't go into the case. The case is open and active.
Well, let's just be clear that not all of the witnesses in the case are behaving in the way you describe. And even those that are, it doesn't bar them from being treated as victims by the prosecution, by the case.
We have an open criminal investigation. I am absolutely not really sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely not really, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated.
I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. But yeah, we're not gonna go through the entire thing.
Contact every ex-girlfriend that's ever had.
Would come forward and accuse those against the sex industry for your financial gain?
Absolute garbage. She has not filed criminal, this person, if they exist, has not filed the boss here, because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you to please him and wanting him to be happy, that I was just kind of, yeah, okay, do whatever you want.
And what is she accused? Has she accused me of a crime, this imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point.
So he's saying imaginary person, because this person, no video, no real name. I'm not even sure if they, had a voice, but this person who is undisclosed came out and said certain stuff. So come on now. Come on now.
That there is
Has she accused me of a crime?
Emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here, because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you the question.
Correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No, we're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The BBC did not invent her.
Of course not. And because you never invent anything. And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about here? What is she?
Just notice her energy. Like, these people have such nerve, and I'm glad that he's intelligent enough to not only keep his composure, and he always does. This is something that he's very good at, but not only to keep his composure, but to also illustrate certain points that are critical and to push back when it's needed to push back, but in a way that they can't say that, oh, he's attacking her as an interviewer, because you already know how that would go. She's coming in here with acting like she got some type of juice, like, shorty, I'm doing you a favor. I could do this interview with any station. I'm doing you a favor. And now what's going to end up happening is this will be the last interview, I'm sure, because of how she's conducting it, rather than maybe approaching it from a different standpoint, and could have been the person that's getting a lot of interviews from Andrew Tate, and also coming at it from a fair and just standpoint. But let's keep going.
She's
talking about emotional manipulation in the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage. She has not filed criminal, this person, if they exist, has not filed criminal charges against me. I welcome anybody who believes I've harmed them, male or female, any point in the past, to file criminal charges against me. I will fight them. I know who I am, and I know what I've done, and I know the truth, and I know that I'll be found innocent of this attack. The reason I'm being attacked is because of my massive influence, not because I've ever hurt anybody. And for you to sit here and say that everybody around you is saying you're innocent, but that doesn't matter, because the state will say they're victims, and they're just going to grab everybody you know and call everybody victims, even if they say they're not, and try and put you in jail. You are describing a matrix attack. You're not describing human trafficking.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
We will see what women go. We will see what women go to court at the end of this trial. We'll see which women go to court.
Can I finish, please?
We'll see which women go to court.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
Sophie hasn't gone to court. Sophie doesn't exist.
And I'm describing women who have spoken to the BBC at length.
Sophie doesn't exist.
And other media organisations about what they say is emotional manipulation and coercion. And I'm quoting back to you your own words where you describe.
They're not my words.
Coercion.
They're words you found. They're words you found on the internet, and Sophie doesn't exist.
On your
so let's move on to
website,
the next subject.
In your voice.
Move on to the next subject.
No, I think I'll stick on this one for a minute. So there's other places in that same website where you say you get girls to fall in love with you and they do it because they love you, because they want to do what you say. Convincing women to take part in some kind of business arrangement doesn't work long term because they're emotional. You've got to get them to fall in love with you. That's coercion, that's emotional manipulation, that's abuse.
What you've found are clips from the internet, some text from the internet, and you're going to sit here and tell me that that's the reason I should be
Your website, your words.
It's not my website.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Check my website. Next.
It's the website you've taken down, and I wonder why those comments have been taken down.
No website's been taken down. My website is the same. It's been the same for a very long time.
The comments on this website, on the original website, have been taken down, and I wonder why.
Yo, Shorty, this is so disingenuous. First you said it was on the website, as if it's on his website. You know what I mean? Something that he put on there. A comment, anybody can comment on. Then when he says it's not on the website, he says, "Oh, you took your website down." Then he says, "I never took my website down." Then she says, "Oh, well, you took the comment down." Come on, Shorty, like do your research, come prepared, because this ain't it.
You are accusing me, I'm guessing, what you're trying to say is you're accusing me, you're trying to say that I'm guilty of the things I'm accused of and I'm emotionally manipulating people.
I'm saying that you have said you emotionally manipulated people here for your own financial gain.
No, absolutely not.
And I'm asking you about that.
Absolutely not is the answer. I look forward to the end of this trial. I look forward to clearing my name. I look forward to the BBC and the legacy media having to say not guilty and having to tell the truth. As I've said before, the only other person who's been found, despite absolute rigorous, destructive levels of investigation and prodding into my life, is this imaginary Sophie by the BBC who doesn't exist. And if you were to find any single other man on earth and try and analyze his life forensically to the level they've done mine, you would find genuine damage to people. I don't hurt people.
It's not just...
Thousands of women have come out in my defense. Thousands of women have come out in my defense, and you've not mentioned that. Thousands of women come out in my defense.
Because the problem is when women accuse you of serious crimes.
Okay,
and emotional
but
manipulation.
let's agree that
That's
thousands
the
of women...
problem.
let's agree that
It's
thousands...
not the problem that some people say you haven't done it. It's a problem that some people say you have.
Thousands of women come out in my defense, and as we stand right now, we have an open criminal investigation. The people who are involved in the criminal investigation are saying that we're not victims of anything. Andrew's fine, he's never hurt us. You're saying, no, I have the opposite to that.
Let me skip a little bit. Bear with me.
The reason they're doing this is because of the massive influence I have over the youth, and they don't like that. It's very upsetting that you're going to sit here and that certain organizations in the world are going to try and pretend that I'm the biggest force of evil on earth when I'm genuinely a force for good. I'm genuinely a force for good. And the reason they're doing this is because of the massive influence I have over the youth, and they don't like that I'm telling the youth to think outside of the matrix and ignore things like the BBC, which come here with loaded questions and false narratives and try and paint innocent people as guilty.
You said women's intimate parts belong to their male parts.
I said that if a woman marries a man, she takes his last name and traditionally the man gives her away. I've been pushing traditional religious beliefs, because I'm a religious man, and traditional beliefs in regards to marriage, which everybody accepted 10 to 15 years ago.
So
that's not a crazy conspiracy theory. If you're going to sit here and say that me believing a woman should take a man's last name in marriage makes me the most dangerous man in the world, then you're just going to lose even more credibility than the BBC's already lost in the last 4 to 5 years. If that's your point, if that's your narrative you want to push, good luck.
Men should be able to sleep with a lot of women outside marriage. That doesn't sound very religious or very conservative.
That's not what I said they should be able to. I said a lot of high-value men, a lot of rich men do it. And then we discussed at length on podcasts why rich men do it. And we also discussed why women decide to be unfaithful. It's not a gendered argument. We discussed unfaithfulness as a whole. What are the reasons and motivations for men? And what are the reasons and motivations for women? Because you have no time to actually, watch my content. Because you have no time to actually watch my content at length and understand what I'm saying. You just come here with a small snippet which has been provided to you on a piece of paper.
3 times doesn't make it true.
No, completely. You don't have a clue what I say or what I talk about. You never watch my content. You have small pieces of paper, small clips on a piece of paper, and you're trying to pretend I've said evil things. And then you're going to say I'm the most dangerous man in the world, which is truly laughable.
You said that, not me.
Okay. Do you believe I'm the most dangerous man in the world, Lucy?
I'm not answering your questions.
Well then we need to change the dynamic of this interview because, and I'll make this clear, I allowed you into my home. I'm doing you a favor, giving you the first interview I'm giving to the public. You don't come here with a position of authority. You're not the police. I don't respect the BBC. I don't know you. You do not come here with a position of authority over me. We are equals, we are people, we're citizens of the world, and we sit here as equals. And I see you as my equal, and if you ask me questions, I can ask you questions back. For you to come here and sit down and pretend you're the Gestapo, and that you don't have to answer my questions, is disingenuous, because I don't owe you anything.
Asking questions and you answer.
But I don't owe, no,
however you want.
this is a conversation, and I don't owe you any degree of authority over me. So let's make that clear. And that doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or from the BBC or the CNN. I'm here to answer your questions and be honest with you and do you a favor.
Great.
And I'm doing you a favor. But you come here with loaded questions. You're trying to paint a narrative of me which is negative.
I'm asking you
And
about
that's
things
fine.
you've said that people are concerned about.
And that's fine.
You
But you're
have
not
said
going to sit here and
a
say you don't
woman's-
answer my questions because you're not above me.
This is also not supposed to be a 30 days first time conversation.
Well,
Absolutely.
it would help if you answered the question.
I've answered every question so far.
Let me ask you another question.
Sure.
You have said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner, and if she goes on OnlyFans, he is entitled to a cut of her income.
You are extremely, it's very confusing to me why you're going to sit here, take long format podcasts I've done, which are 3 or 4 hours long, in context where I've sat with OnlyFans girls, 10 or 15 OnlyFans girls, where we've been joking back and forth, ignore every comment and satirical comment and sarcastic comment that the females have made, and then come along and say, you said this, and you're the most evil man in the world. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm
Did you
is.
say it?
I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what context is. I don't know if you understand what satirical content
So you're saying
comments
it's
are.
sarcastic?
I'm saying it was a very interesting talk show. And for you to sit here and say that that is my true core beliefs and that makes me a
Is
bad
it?
person is disingenuous.
Is it?
Of course not.
Was it sarcasm?
Absolutely. You should watch the show.
You were being sarcastic
You should-
when you said. Let me
you
just
should-
clarify.
you should
okay?
watch the show.
Let me clarify for the audience. You were being sarcastic when you said a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner.
No.
You didn't believe that.
No, it's not that. It's that you haven't watched the show at length, and you should have, because the woman was saying, my man's car belongs to me because he's my man. And she was on OnlyFans. And then 20 minutes later, when she said she was on OnlyFans, I said, well, you're selling your body, that belongs to him because he's your man. And she laughed,
Do you believe it?
she laughed, and she said, yeah, that's probably true. If you watch the show, it will make sense. For you to come here with doing no research at all,
So they're clearly trying to show you misogyny. Keep bringing up the word misogyny because we're going to get into this larger conversation and further detail why exactly they're coming to us. So if you know this, he handles himself tremendously well. Let's keep watching with that. Brilliant man at work.
and then say, I don't understand what I'm talking about, but I've got this piece of paper with a few things printed off. That's why you're saying the silly things you're saying. You should watch the show, do some research.
Do you believe it?
You already answered
I've
that.
already answered the question.
Not really.
Of course I
That's
have.
what you said. That's not
Can we
true.
move on? I've answered the question.
Do you believe that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner?
Of course not. I've just answered the question.
You just answered that. You said exactly that.
We've done that 3 times.
And does this woman believe that her man's car belongs to her? It's not a gendered argument. I really think that it's genuinely sad that when the BBC has a chance to finally interview me at the end of all this Matrix attack, that they don't come here with any kind of genuine openness to try and understand my influence over the world, or the things I push, or what I'm trying to teach the world, or why I'm a good influence on the world, because I am a massively good influence. Instead, they come here with pieces of paper, with printed out excerpts from 5-year-old podcasts, taken out of context, to attempt the same Matrix attack on me, which has been attempted endlessly. Every single person in Legacy Media has already tried this, and it doesn't work. I encourage you to read the comment section on YouTube when this goes on YouTube, and you will see that nobody believes a word you're saying.
The
This is
reason I'm
garbage.
asking you about these comments.
They probably think they know that a lot of stuff is supposed to be keep pushing it will just further them into accepting it. So at least the normal thing
Is because we've got the chief executive of Rape Crisis naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolute.
It's the comments you made.
Let's lock it. Misogynistic rape culture. Keep in mind what I just said about Cardi B, right? She acknowledged drugging, raping, robbing somebody. But she gets to get all these endorsement deals, post it like one of them. All of it. Cardi B has probably just as many endorsements as anybody. And she gets to interview Joe Biden.
That are leading people to say things like
Absolute
this.
garbage.
National organisations who are saying that, are blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny. Schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed.
If that was
by
true,
pupils,
because
of you and your teaching.
well, that's
and your
absolute.
influence.
That's absolute garbage. I have never, ever encouraged a student to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem with modern society, I'm against. I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me, with no criminal record, never even yet charged in this 14-month Matrix investigation. And I'm saying that if men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent and emotional control and stoic, we're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago, is disingenuous. It's disingenuous.
You
And
sell
also,
an image of financial success
correct.
with a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
Because it's all mixed together in what you teach.
Oh,
you teach that a woman, if a woman comes home
Hey, yo,
and
did you
accuses
hear
of
this?
cheating, all mixed together in what misogyny.
How does having the internet 1
You
year
sell an
ago
image of
is
success.
disingenuous? It's disingenuous.
You
And
sell
also,
an
listen
image
to
of
this.
financial
it's-
Please listen to this. I actually didn't even hear that the first time. I thought I heard it the first time, and I was like, oh no, she didn't just say that. Maybe she said something like, listen to this.
success
Correct.
with a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
how does having
A Bugatti and a cigar and a side order of misogyny. She probably thought that was going to sound cool as shit.
Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
Because it's all mixed together in what you teach. You teach that a woman, if a woman comes home and accuses you of cheating, you should hit her with a machete, shove her off.
Is that what I teach?
That's what you say.
No, if you actually watch the clip,
you've got
it will be
the
about the
reaction.
woman attacking me with a machete. As usual, you've not watched the video, taken it out of context, flipped it, and attempted to attack me with a small excerpt. Let me tell you something, Lucy. I'm sure you're a very nice person. I'm sure you're a fantastic person. But if I were to take everything you've ever said online and just take small excerpts out of context, I could make you look like a misogynist. I guarantee it. In fact, I might actually do that. And then you're going to sit here and say, oh shit, I'm a misogynist because my clips have been taken out of context. If you refuse to watch anything at length and understand it, then that's what's going to happen.
The National Police Chiefs League for Violence Against Women, the NSPCC, Rape Crisis, Safer Schools, they are all naming you as being behind an epidemic of misogyny, even amongst primary school children.
The idea that I made primary school children misogynistic because I own a nice car. Is that your argument?
It's the misogyny that comes along with it.
Oh, owning a nice car is misogynist.
No, it's the
Got it.
misogyny that comes along with it.
How does misogyny come along with owning a nice car?
Because you have an image of financial
I'm glad you're answering my
success.
questions now. We finally got the dynamic.
You have
right.
an image of financial
She's answering my
success.
questions, as she should.
Excuse me. You have an image of financial success, but it comes along with attitudes towards women that are really problematic.
My attitudes towards women is that women should be protected and provided for, and I've said that at length. In fact, I've said that over 50 times online, you never mention it. I say that my girlfriend doesn't have to work unless she wants to, I take care of her, I die to protect a woman. I've talked about how I've stood up and faced a knife to protect a woman.
And in return, you want authority over her in the way you have over a child or a dog.
Absolutely not. I've said that women should be protected and provided for.
And in return, you want authority over her, because if you have responsibility for someone like a child or a dog, you say, you have authority over them.
If you want to go down this argument, we'll go down this nuanced argument. I said that if I have responsibility for her safety, I should have a degree of authority over her safety. Meaning, and let me explain my point. If I'm the one who has to fight and die to protect her, I'm the one who decides how we walk home. I'm the one who decides the route we take. Because it's unfair for her to say, I want to walk through the most dangerous neighborhood in the world, but you have to face the knives. That's what I've said. And then you're going to sit here and pretend that I'm trying to treat women like dogs, which is garbage. Every single man in the world who loves this woman understands that he has to protect her. And every single woman in the world likes the idea of a man who would protect her. If you were to say to most women home right now, do you want your husband to protect you in a violent attack? They'd say, yeah, of course. Nothing I've said is misogynistic.
If you said to most women, would you want to lose authority in the relationship, to not be treated as a free and legal equal to your
I didn't say that. I said I need to have authority over the route we walk home.
When you compare women and the authority over women that you believe you should have to having authority over a child or a dog, It's not the same because a woman is a free, legal adult.
Correct.
You're equal.
Free, legal adult, my equal. But if I had a girlfriend and we were walking home late at night and I said, let's not walk down that area, it's a bad area, I have to protect you if anything happens, I want to take the long way. And she said, no, I have to walk this way, even though it's the most dangerous route, I must.
Then what?
Then I would say, you're welcome to, you could do it, you're a free and legal equal, but I'm not going to walk with you and protect you. I think that I should be able to decide the route because I have an obligation. And my obligation as a man is to protect and provide for females. Everything I'm talking about is traditional gender roles, which 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, would not be considered outlandish, would not be considered crazy, would not be considered dangerous or misogynistic. The world has changed, and a lot of people haven't changed with the world. Please understand there's a lot of women at home watching this right now who like the idea of their man sticking up for them, protecting them, and providing for them. And just because the world has gone crazy and the legacy media has gone crazy, most people at home are still relatively sane. And these are the people who are going to write on the comments that Andrew isn't saying anything that's outlandish.
Please pause for a moment, Mr. Sorry, because Matthew changed the camera.
All right. What y'all thinking? What y'all thinking on that one? What y'all thinking on that one? All right, so y'all got a good feel for it. It's, you know, I know we didn't watch the whole thing, and I recommend please do watch the whole thing because it's definitely educational. It informs us on exactly what we're dealing with. It definitely informs us on exactly what we're dealing with. Yo, there's a lot of, he brought up a good point that he said 10 years ago, none of this stuff would be questioned. It is so funny how the stuff that we accept nowadays, and I tend to blame the coward men. There's a lot of coward men running around here that won't stand up, won't speak, won't stand on principles, morals, and values, won't stand on integrity, but instead will just allow anybody who says something, if it's a woman, oh no, I'm just going to let them be right, and then, you know, we'll figure it out. It's like, no, stand on truth, stand on principle, because if we don't, it's going to be a slippery slope, and we never know where things are going to get to. It just is what it is. This is how it goes. This is how it happens. So I blame a lot of our cowardly men, and there's also responsibility on the women as well, because women are in an interesting position to where you know that what Andrew Tate's saying is correct. You know that a lot of the things that you say that you want in a man, Andrew Tate is preaching and encouraging people to actually do. And I want to go through a few of the things that Andrew Tate is addressing with our youth, our adults of all ages. And y'all tell me if it's bad. You know, he mentioned a few of them, but y'all tell me if it's bad. So I just labeled a couple different areas. Professionally, what does Andrew Tate tell us? Aim high, work your ass off, achieve, and then reset, do it all again. Literally. He's telling people to dream big and then sacrifice and be disciplined and focused enough to make sure that you can bring that dream home, that you can bring that dream into reality, that you can manifest it in reality. That's what he's literally pushing people to do. And like a lot of other people, just like she's doing, she's like, oh, your Bugatti and your cigar, as if somebody should be criticized for achieving a certain level of success that gives them the opportunity to get certain things that they like, certain things that all of us like, but a lot of us aren't willing to work for them. It is what it is. The next area would be from a personal standpoint, not accepting anything less than the best version of ourselves. That's literally what I get when I hear Andrew Tate. There are common foundational principles and values that steer Andrew Tate, because it can be messages that you're hearing from him in a lot of different areas, but they all have those same foundational values and principles. You can hear it in anything that he's saying. There's a certain level of accountability, responsibility, and duty that comes along with anything that he is saying. Relationships. From a man's standpoint, I'm going to speak on it from that standpoint. Protect, provide, and lead by any means necessary. He brought up a great point. If I'm responsible for your safety, And if you expect me, if somebody breaks into the house, to confront that force, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter if the person has a gun, bat, knife, you expect me to address that before it even affects you, right? So therefore, if I have that responsibility, then you have to allow me to set up that protection how I see is best fit, because I'm the protector. Now, if y'all have a different type of arrangement, then that's something different. But if you expect me, just like the example he said, when we're walking home, if you expect me to confront any threat that may come our way, then I get to decide which way, which route, how we get home. It is what it is. And if you just, for whatever reason, just want to, no, I'm doing this, you want to stand on that, okay, cool. Then you can't expect me to protect you in that if you want to just go off on your own and do whatever. It is what it is. Overall, this man encourages following rules. Not he's never been arrested. He just said that, no criminal record. To respect authority, and respecting a certain level of authority, that's probably one of the main issues that a lot of our youth struggle with. The ones who do struggle, whether it's getting into trouble in various areas of our lives, having a certain level of respect, integrity, to where you understand that there's a certain level of respect for authority that needs to be there. It's common sense. So then from a fitness standpoint, being in tip-top shape, being healthy, that's literally what this man encourages, being healthy. So all these positives, and it's so funny that the very areas that he's encouraging people, and particularly men, to thrive in, are the same areas in which we need the most help in. Talk to any woman about the complaints that they'll have with the modern man. They're weak, no courage, out of shape. Uh, Professionally, they settle. I'm making more money than them. All this other stuff. Personally, they're not pushing to fulfill their potential, maximize their potential, to become the best versions of themselves. In a lot of cases, you hear women talking about how I'm looking to achieve, and they're just kind of sitting back, accepting life, getting in trouble with respect to authority, following the rules. Literally everything that they're talking about, being a protector, being a provider, all these different things that people complain about, he's actually encouraging men to go out and do, and to take that responsibility on, and assume 100% accountability with it. But this is what we're going to call misogynistic, and this is what we're going to describe as somebody who's, I guess, what would you say? Somebody who's being known as one of the biggest threats to society. But no, he's just a threat to the agenda that the super left is pushing. All right, this fake weirdo woke stuff. All right, so I now want to switch the conversation over, because all these different things that she's complaining about, as I said earlier, it reminded me of music. Everything she's accusing him of doing, it's actually in our music. Everything that she's accusing him of doing, it's actually in our music. And it's encouraged, it's promoted, it's embraced, it's funded extremely well, all these different things. But you don't hear about people banning that stuff. You don't hear about that. So let's get into a couple more videos that I want to address. And these videos, actually, it's funny. So I got different perspectives to talk on the influence of rap and hip hop, because I want to compare them to the influences that Andrew Tate is being accused of, even though he promotes the opposite. But why they're trying to ban him, the powers that be, why the powers that be are trying to ban him, trying to lock him up, trying to silence him, trying to cancel him, all these things that that side does. And both sides do it in different ways, but their side is doing it with Andrew Tate. That's what we're talking about. So therefore, we're gonna hear some interesting perspectives. And this one is from, hold on, the one that I'm gonna go to is from, I think it's a while back. I think it's 8 years ago. So I want to do it. It's all for a reason. 8 years ago, the things that were being discussed and what it led to. And then we'll talk about a couple other videos as well that share different perspectives. All right, let's get into this.
I'm a stoner, 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 I'm a stoner.
That guy, Young Thug, is one of the biggest names in hip-hop, which many fans say is more than music. Hip-hop is often described as a culture that started about 30 years ago, born of the need for urban young people to share their experiences and how they felt about them. But a lot of people, including yours truly, believe that that music, the majority of it, that we consider hip-hop today has run so far off the rails to the point where many believe that it is destructive and creating destructive behavior. Well, that's my opinion, so that's why we invited the experts, those that understand it probably better than I could ever understand it, to talk about this thing called hip-hop today. Is Dwayne Michael.
Yes.
Dwayne, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
founder
having us.
of Should Could Dream Tour.
Yes.
And student activist Colin Burge. You saw him in our Your Voice inaugural show. Colin is, among many things, Mr. Black Student Union at the University of Maryland and chair of the membership committee of the NAACP's University of Maryland College Park branch. Listen, let's get this out the way. We know there are a few of them that produce good rap music.
Yes, yes.
Good lyrics,
A lot of them.
good
Yes.
values,
Yes.
good virtues. That's not what we're talking about
Yeah.
today because they're in the minority.
Yes.
Talk about this music and the impact that it's having.
It can have a terrible impact if used the wrong way. But if it's used in the
Yeah, I gotta stop right here. I was about to stop y'all earlier, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to push. I don't want to set the, I got a comment. It is what it is. Just pay attention to how these NAACP types, where it's the groups like the NAACP, the Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, all these groups that are fighting, quote unquote, fighting for activism in different areas. Notice how they still toe the line and just how they kind of maneuver around these things because they're scared to point the finger at the problem. They're scared to actually address Black people. People have no problem, these Black groups and all these other groups, they have no problem saying it's the white man. The white man's doing this, the white man's doing that. But there's never a certain level of responsibility and accountability that they place on the influence that Black people have on Black people. Because they don't want to do that. That's against the rules. That's against the rules. So just pay attention to that as we go through the video. And also pay attention to how this brother right here, the brother who he does the right thing. He keeps the foot on their neck. Like, nah, we're not letting you squirm out of this one. So focus up.
positive way, like what we do with our Should Could Dream Tour, you can inspire a whole nation to work hard, never settle, dream big, and to accomplish extraordinary success.
That's another show. Tell us how it's used bad so we can learn, parents and young people, the dangers and what you can become if you don't really understand it. If you don't have somebody at home saying, while you listen to this, don't become this.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Well, hip hop, in a sense, they're just actors. And I feel as though that they're just putting on a front sometimes to just prove their point. It's almost like in acting for a certain movie. Someone may play a role. And I feel as though that in the rap culture, a lot of these people are just playing certain roles. And those roles aren't being shown well. Like Young Thug is not a great representation of what hip hop is. We just heard some of the things that he says. I'm a stoner. Terrible thing. We don't want to, encourage marijuana use. But that's just one individual who is playing a role that's not necessarily showing what we really are as people.
Colin,
like I said, this is 8 years ago, and I'm laughing because you have a brother like this come up here saying this 8 years ago, but what has it turned into? What has it turned into? They always want to act as if somebody like Young Thug is the anomaly. No, Young Thug and the stuff that he's pushing is the norm. And that's why 8 years ago, when this was being discussed, well, I should say that's why from 8 years ago, what it's turned into now, you see that it has continued to be the norm and that it's the more even overwhelmingly majority. Young Thug is hip hop culture. Young Thug is rap culture. So all these others, you could talk about Talib Kweli and all these other people talking about positivity and stuff. No, the overwhelming majority are the young thugs either talking about drugs, talking about sliding on some ops, drilling, killing other black people, being misogynistic towards women, being disrespectful towards women, being disrespectful towards other men, all this other stuff. Like, come on, stealing, robbing, all this stuff. Like, bro, who are you fooling?
And I know you say colon. I find that interesting because I remember Snoop Dogg said once, yeah, I produced this, but I would never allow my children to listen to it.
Yeah.
Talk about this. Are they acting? It's good enough for the public, but not good enough for their own family.
And is acting an excuse? Because even though you may be acting and portraying a particular role, that does not mean that the impact that you're going to have on individuals is going to be an understanding that you're just acting and playing a role. And truth be told, 8 years ago, hip hop, maybe 10 years ago, maybe it was more acting. Because we just allowed this to become the norm, these young ones ain't acting. K Flock ain't acting. That's why he's locked up. All of these people that, whether it's D-Thang, all these other people, I'm just naming a couple people in the Bronx, a couple young boys that are super talented at making music, but NBA young boy, he said it recently. I believe he was talking to Charleston White, and he's like, listen, I'm just a product of the leadership that I come from. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just teaching others to do what I was taught. You know what I mean? So these kids are actually doing it. They aren't able to differentiate between what's real, what's fake. No, they're actually doing it. And social media magnifies all of this stuff. So to sit back with these relaxed attitudes and to be able to say, oh, you know, it's just acting and disregard all this stuff without holding people accountable, it's disingenuous, it's cowardly, and you see where it has led to in life right now.
Family members?
I would say they are acting. Yeah. And what I would say as a whole is that hip hop has a negative, overwhelmingly negative impact on young people, especially young black people, young black males in particular. The reason that it has an especially negative impact on young black males is that these hip hop artists are predominantly black. They're predominantly black males. And so these individuals, these young people, are most likely to personally identify with them. And so the fast life that these rappers talk about a lot of times becomes a fantasy for these for these young people. And then when it becomes a fantasy, it turns into a reality. And then the fast life in reality, when you really do live it, a lot of times often means a fast death. Financially, economically, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. And therein lies the problem.
Yeah, but I also want to say that I think that hip hop has done phenomenal things for race relations at the very same time. Because, you know, it's very hard.
Hey, yo, brother on the right, you got it. And because I only heard the intro, just to make sure that this is a video that's on topic. I didn't hear this brother on the right. I believe his name was Colin Bird. He just hit the nail on the head. And I believe so. He's a young NAACP dude. And it's funny, I was just talking about the NAACP. I wish the NAACP elected more people that were young coming up, that were in it. The NAACP, even when I think back to my hometown, it's dominated by older people. It's pushing older agendas. I actually just did some research on the NAACP after they put out that warning people not to come to Florida or whatever. And the NAACP, look at their board, look at their advisory board, look at their everything about the NAACP is old. They're pushing old strategies, old agendas that are not in touch. They're not in touch with the real right now. So I'm going to look up this brother. I'm being honest. I'm going to look up this brother. So shout out to him. Shout out to whatever chapter of the NAACP he was in, because he's spot on. I'm not sure where this other brother's coming from.
Hard forward.
But I got to give credit where credit's due. He hit the nail on the head.
If you go to a Jay-Z concert now, 75% of the people are going to be white. So it brings people together at the same time. Music is the one internet.
Yo, this dude, who cares about bringing people together? Why are black people always the people that want to bring everybody together and kumbaya with everybody when everybody don't want to kumbaya with you? Black people are always the one. Oh well. This is the imagine having something that influences or that's a part of another culture's culture, another community's culture, and then trying to see whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And then the first thing they say, oh well, it brings us together with other communities. Bro, that's not what we're evaluating. We are evaluating and assessing the damage that it does to our community. This dude ain't it.
National language that we all speak.
And that's interesting. You're shaking your head. Tell us why.
I'm shaking my head for a number of reasons. First of all, I think when people argue that hip hop as a whole is good because by cherry picking the rare instances in which it does elevate our young people to a higher level of consciousness, to a higher level of social responsibility, I think that is the height of a disingenuous argument. It is akin to saying that crack cocaine is good for you because it gives you energy. Yes, it does give you energy, but when you do a holistic analysis of the impact of crack cocaine, the costs of smoking crack cocaine significantly outweigh any marginal benefit gained from increased energy. You see the promotion of misogyny. You see the promotion of violence. You see the promotion, in fact, of aggression. He talked about improving racial relations, but you actually see the promotion of aggression towards police officers. And sometimes when you listen to, for example, NWA back in the 1990s, they had a song called F the Police. Now, how in turn does that inform the interactions that our young black males are going to end up having with police officers? And a lot of times what happens is ultimately there's an inflammation in racial tension, and there's an inflammation and tension between our young people and the law enforcement authorities that are supposed to be protecting their communities.
I want to see when we come back from our up next feature whether we have a little time to revisit this. Maybe not.
That brother. I don't know. I gotta look up. Is it Colin Bird? I gotta look it up. I'm gonna rewind afterwards. I'm not gonna rewind while y'all watching. That brother, you see the difference between somebody who's willing to hold people accountable and to not worry about all the BS. That's why he can talk so freely, and that he sounded very confident when he was speaking. Because the other dude, you know, you're saying some BS. You're trying to massage something rather than just being direct and approaching it for what it is. Not approaching it for, oh, well, you know, we could look at it this way, because anything can be looked at a bunch of different ways, right? And he gave a great example talking about crack cocaine. Yeah, there's benefits that it gives you energy. Does that mean that the benefits outweigh the negative effects? Damn. All right, so I wanted to show y'all that video first. All right, I'm gonna show you that video first because that's you know, people that are, it's 8 years ago, it's black community, and they're talking about the very same things. You notice that the brother said misogynistic. So he's talking about all these different negative impacts. Everybody's clear. All right, unless you're just being stupid or just trying to make a point or align yourself with a particular agenda, we all understand the negative impact that this drill, rap music, and hip hop overall has on our community. Our music is largely, I don't know whether one's a reflection of each other, but our music sets the tone on our culture, and our culture sets the tone on how we move throughout society. So clearly, if we're experiencing all these, you know, situations like Chicago with little kids acting like they're at war with the next block, whether it's Chicago, Baltimore, New York, LA, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, all these different places where we see these high level of crime, where it's black on black and a lot of our youth against each other. Come on now. Come on now. Let's be real. Let's be real. We all want to talk about the gun violence. You know, the Democrats always want to talk about the gun violence. We're not going to address these. We're not going to address this issue. Oh, we only address Black Lives Matter. You only want to say something when it's a police officer killing a black kid or a black adult. You don't want to speak on what happens most, but you just want to focus on the one where it can bring about the most money because you could tap into that racial aspect of it, right? We get it. We get it. So let me now give you an example of, let me just get rid of this one. I found one with Lord Jamar. So Lord Jamar is a former rapper. Or I don't know if he still considers himself a rapper. Let's see which one that is. Where's the Lord Jamar? Here we go. So just wanted y'all to hear a little bit from Lord Jamar on this topic, because just wanted to give a perspective of somebody that's been in the hip hop industry. All right, so let's go here. Theater mode. Let's rock. Not gonna give y'all the whole thing, so this is gonna be short.
Got you.
Cool, but where we go to shoot at is in the Poconos.
Got you. We see a lot of hip hop artists out here, obviously, especially with the drill culture. A lot of them got guns in their videos, pointing guns at the videos, doing all this wild,
right, holding them wrong,
and all this wild stuff. And the opposition looks just like us. It's
Right.
it's getting newer, it's getting crazier, but it's something that we've kind of been plagued with for a while now. Talk about the new age, the drill music, how you feel about it, and what you think about all these young boys and young females on YouTube and on Instagram kind of flexing these guns, albeit in states where it's legalized and they're allowed to do it. But just talk about the culture and how detrimental it seems to me in my eyes.
Well, that's part of the culture that I think they're using to try to say, look, guns are bad. Look what they're doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're trying to reward, young black males and females for being ultra violent. They want you to be ultra violent and see if we can top, if I can top the violence and the disrespect, on record and all that, if I can actually kill one of yours and then get on a record and brag about it, like, it's just, I don't see the the positivity in it, other than somebody will say, well, yeah, but these kids are getting themselves out of a tough situation and all that. Are they? I don't know. I've seen some regular kids with good homes trying to make drill music because they think that's what they think it's popular. You know what I mean? My man actually just, he just showed me a video that his son made, and his son is a good kid. You know what I mean? But they had guns in the video and shit, blah, 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 and they twisting around and, and I was like, yo, your son just looks like, him and his boys just look like a bunch of good kids with guns and shit. And he's like,
now he's going to get into a little bit of his opinions on it, because he's we don't know where he's at with it yet right now. However, I do want to point out that's how influential it can be, where you can have quote unquote good kids that don't come from this life, that they're now going to portray this life. They're going to portray this life. So they're putting all these spells out, lyric spells, same thing. And they're putting all this terrible energy out that then gets absorbed by people that are actually in it, or people that aren't in it, but it gets them either people that aren't in it, excited about it, wanting to live that particular life because people will look at them, in a certain way. Or you get people that are actually in it, waking up, seeing it in their day-to-day. How do you think that's going to affect them? They're going to think that it's the right thing. They already feel like they got to protect themselves, do certain things, but it gives them an excuse. It gives them a built-in excuse that, because I live in this impoverished area, then I got to do A, B, and C. I got to act this way in order to get out of my situation, or in order to just survive in the situation. So let's keep listening.
Well, that's what they are. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't fit the stereotype of what they want to see. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's going to pop off for your son like that. You know what I mean? They want to see, kids from the ghetto who's really killing each other. That's who they want to see on wax. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, man. I'm not with it as far as the violence part of it, Yeah. Musically, it's cool. I could dance to some of it, some of it you fit, when the shit come on, like, it's cool. I'm not a hater of like new school music, like some people may think. It just gotta, I just look for more, man, more substance, man.
Now, far before the whole drill music thing was birthed, a lot of people say in Chicago, I think hip hop was on a downward trajectory, at least was being promoted. Would you say with the recent you know, death of Young Dolph, all these different rappers, that hip hop rap has turned into much more of a deaf culture nowadays than it's ever been.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely feel like the subliminal message is get in the game, and if you die, ooh boy, you could blow the fuck up.
Yeah,
you'll sell more records in death than you will
I don't know if it's subliminal. The messages are direct now.
in life. You know what I mean? And I don't know what kind of sick message that is. I don't see any other genre of music that subliminally promotes that type of mentality. But every time one of these artists passes, all of a sudden, you know, y'all motherfuckers wasn't even playing their shit on the radio. Now all of a sudden you playing their shit on the radio all day and all night, and you know, and acting like, you know, every artist that passes is, you know, the new Tupac or whatever. Like, and no disrespect to any of these artists, but it's just like, come on, like stop it. Like this is not something to aspire to. We got into this rap shit originally to escape a lot of the bullshit, so that a motherfucker could be fly and respected and on the streets and wear jewels and all that without having to fucking sell crack and worry about getting shot and all this other type of shit. That's why a lot of the smart ones of us did that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And said, oh, here's a different way. We could still, you know what I mean? Look fly and all that, but I don't have to worry. I could ride around. I don't have to worry about the police. Like,
right.
The police actually gonna want to take pictures with me. What? This is great. Now, come on, man. Being a rapper is one of the more dangerous professions, it seems like. It being a new rapper anyway.
Sure.
Like,
let me ask you this.
About how many rappers have died and got killed.
Yeah.
Does that just pertain to being a black?
So let me get rid of this. There you have it. An example. You heard Lord Jamar. He spoke on it. He eased his way into it. Honestly, I hadn't seen the entire clip, so I'm just, reacting with y'all, having a convo with y'all. But he eased his way into it, and then he just once again hit the nail on the head. It's a deaf culture. It is a deaf culture. So why would a deaf culture not be banned, but Andrew Tate and everything that I just named with him, from encouraging people to be their best versions of themselves, to maximize their potential, to be in shape, healthy, fit, to aim high professionally, to protect and provide and lead your woman. All these different things that used to be seen as positive. I don't know. I guess to what I would say, most people with common sense, these things would still be seen as positive, but I guess we can be influenced in any other way. But once again, I just have to make the point. They are trying to cancel, the powers that be, are attempting to cancel Andrew Tate. They just locked him up with no charges. I don't know what's going on. They're attempting to cancel him for his message. But when it comes to hip hop and the destruction and the deaf culture that it promotes rapidly amongst our community, that's all good. That's all good. What's the real reason? Is it because hip hop is only really destroying black people? Is that the difference? Is the reason why Andrew Tate is the reason why the powers that be, mainstream media, the left, is looking to cancel somebody like Andrew Tate, but then they promote and encourage and embrace somebody like Cardi B and say, you can interview Joe Biden, you can have all these endorsements, is the reason why they want to cancel Andrew Tate and not cancel all these drill rappers, drill music, rap in general, that's promoting misogyny, killing each other, destroying our communities, all these different things. Is the reason why they want to cancel Andrew Tate only because Andrew Tate has an influence among more than just black people? Are they looking at rap, drill, hip hop as, oh, it's terrible, but it's only destroying black communities and it's only killing black people. So we good. We could let them keep rocking out with that one. That's cool. But Andrew Tate, no, he's encouraging young kids to be more confident, to be more in shape, to learn how to protect themselves, to learn how to protect others, to become a leader, to aim high professionally, to aim high personally, all these different things. Let's cancel that guy. So what's the real reason, left? Is this just another thing where, I guess y'all could just sit back like Biden said, and well, if you're black, you're gonna vote for me, to where you just think that we're that stupid, or you think that we're that gullible, or that blindly loyal and faithful to y'all, to where we can't read between the lines of what y'all doing. So let's listen to this last one. This last one's gonna be funny. I haven't seen it, but I wanted to make sure that I give a different perspective. And as soon as I tapped on this video, I figured that this would be the perfect one. All right, so let's continue to have some fun while we get through this. But of course, make sure that we're taking away certain aspects of it that we need to. So is it this one? Yeah, this is it. All right, let's rock.
What's up everyone, John from Beyond AR TV. It's time for another thinking out loud type video where I sit down and just kind of spill some thoughts that I have on whatever the topic might be. And today, this is kind of a general topic, but at the same time, there's a few specific points that I want to talk about. And some of this is theorizing, others seems to be fact, and I'm talking about obviously rap and hip hop in general. And just the violence and the weirdness that it kind of protrudes from society. It evokes something from people, I feel like, that's been talked about all the way back to Eminem with his violent lyrics, especially ones against women, homophobic slurs, and that sort of thing. It's been talked about for the longest time. And while for the longest time, I guess I personally didn't see it as problematic, I feel like we're starting to feel the effects that it has on society. Because think about it, with hip hop and rap being the most prominent and most listened to genre in the United States right now, it's something where a lot of people, a lot of young people, are really perceiving this as something that they should aim for. So now we have this influx of SoundCloud rappers, everybody trying to live that lifestyle and emulate it. And it's kind of a weird thing to see because the lyrics are so ass backwards, I feel like a lot of the time, from the progress that we've made as a society. And sure, a lot of people will cry, Trump's America, that's why it's happening. Honestly, I feel like we've kind of been in this spiral for a while now, at least the past half decade or so. It's been a very weird run that we've had. So with hip hop and rap, obviously if you sit down and listen to the lyrics, especially some of the ones that are more inclined to talking about the cliches, the bitches, the women, the drugs, the jewels, all that stuff. It's the same old garbage over and over again. And that's why I don't listen to much mainstream rap, because most of it is trash. They talk about the same things and it's just the same beats and the same rolling trap hi-hats now, especially. That's what people are into. I myself prefer more conscious hip hop, at least something that has a great beat mixed with some decent lyrics on it, but that's not really what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about is the effect that I feel like a lot of this music is having on younger people, especially people.
You know what's wild that I have to comment on? It's wild to me that here you got a white guy coming on here complaining about the impact that it has, and his community isn't even the main community impacted by this. Think about that. Here he feels bad. He said he used to listen to it, but now, it's becoming a problem. Like, he just doesn't feel good about it. That's why I wanted to show this. If white people can see the destruction that hip hop is causing in our communities, why can't we? And if we do see it, how come we're too cowardly to take an actual stand on it and to make the needed adjustments if we really care about the lives of our community, the lives of our youth? Why wouldn't we take a stand? Because clearly only a fool would say that it's not impacting our communities. Keep going, bro.
People that are just looking to that and they think about the lyrics that are talking about kind of being maybe more aggressive towards women, or maybe not taking no for an answer, or that bitch gonna suck my dick, and all that stuff. You know the type of lyrics. And I think that it's weird that a lot of people will listen to this music, but at the same time also seem like kind of social justice warrior, the SJW type, and they're like, you know, I'm all for feminist rights, and I want to push this, and I have this idea that I back, and they seem like they're all for something. But at the same time, then they're like sharing out like, oh, this new single from Lil Yachty, or this new Lil Uzi Vert, or obviously in the news right now, XXXTentacion, because he's having some very, very heavy abuse allegations just thrown at him right now. And these are actually court-certified documents with hundreds of pages of testimony against him. So it never surprises me whenever I...
And just to be clear, this video was 5 years ago. So of course, want to be sensitive to the fact that I believe Tentacion passed. Not that I believe, he passed away. So want to be sensitive to that. This video is 5 years ago. He was just making a point. So don't let that distract you from the overall message. But that's why I scrolled down just to show you. It's 5 years ago.
Hear that, oh, this rapper got arrested.
Which brings up another point. The fact that he's talking about this 5 years ago, when are we going to start talking about it? When are we going to address it on a high level? When are our quote unquote influencers going to speak out against this?
For doing this because they rap about it all the time. And obviously I'm kind of not surprised whatsoever, but I'm also surprised that more people haven't been arrested over the years, or at least looked into. I mean, back in the day with Eminem especially, I mean, he talks about kidnapping or else killing Kim, putting her in the trunk, just beating her, saying stop screaming, and obviously it's not a confession on tape. You can always say, oh, it's satire, it's just a song, obviously. But at the same time, it really makes you wonder what's in the mind of some of these people. How do they actually treat friends, women, or really anybody in general on a day-to-day basis? It's your party music, it's your turn-up music, it's your going out music, fine, whatever. But it's also a mindset that you don't even realize, I don't think, that you're slipping into. It's something that I feel like affects people because they start to think about, oh, you know, what is A$AP Rocky, or what is Lil Uzi Vert? What are they talking about here? Or, wow, you know, I'm watching their music video, Travis Scott has all these jewels, all these cars, he has everything you could possibly want, probably rented for the music video, but for the sake of this video, let's say that it's all real, it's all attainable. People want to go out and get that. And how do you get that? Well, you talk about the riches, the bitches, and the snitches, and what you're gonna do to all of those things. You're gonna tear it up at the club, you're gonna fuck every girl in town, you're gonna have the most extensive car collection out there. And it's something that I can't stand to listen to, and I honestly can't stand to see a lot of people listening to, because it's like, I know that it's like you probably have a little bit of that rubbing off on you, whether you like to admit it or not. And some people just undoubtedly just admit it to themselves. They're like, I want that. I want what Post Malone has, or I want what Lil Uzi Vert has, or I want what even Lil Wayne or Jay-Z have. Look at the empires that they've built. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying these songs as they are. I'm not saying that just because it's not my personal taste that you shouldn't be able to enjoy it. But at the same time, I'm seeing a societal swing towards whether it be violence or bigotry, because some of these rappers have come under fire for homophobic comments, like Quavo and the rest of Migos. And I'm not saying that I'm calling them out specifically because they're the only ones. It's something where I just feel like rap as a genre hasn't necessarily decided what it wants, because it does accept gay rappers. We've seen that in the past, but at the same time, they come down on a lot of things, like there's plenty of transphobic comments that float around, and I'm not one to get into all that stuff and really just break down like who has this, who has what. But it's really weird to see as a society that we still embrace this and accept it with arms wide open, seemingly. And like I said, it's the most popular genre now, hip-hop and rap in America. And at the same time, we're also pushing more than ever this idea of just, you know, everything is purified. SJWs have to sanitize. And obviously we went through the adpocalypse thing on YouTube, probably thanks to a lot of the things that were being seen in videos, maybe it be reacting to or reviewing hip-hop and that sort of thing, other racially tinged things. And it's really weird how we just have these clashing ideals where it seems like on one side we've got everybody that's embracing things like this, like rap, hip-hop, the themes that they talk about. And on the other side, it's like everybody pushing against it, saying, oh, everybody needs to be respected, everybody treated equally. But then they meet in the middle, because I see these people. I don't want to get into specifics of names that I've seen, because I'm sure that people will just start going crazy and saying, oh, well, they're not really like that or anything like that. But it's just funny.
All right, y'all get the point. Y'all get the point. Not to cut my boy off, but y'all get the point. He made it very clear, and it's just interesting. It's something that we need to ask ourselves. It's something that we need to be a lot more conscious about, because what we allow in our society and our personal lives sets the tone on who we become and how far we can go. What we allow. That the same can be said with what we do not allow, what we cancel in our own lives, what we decide to no longer accept as the norm in our own lives, what we will no longer listen to in a lot of ways. So all of these things are going to come and impact this overall conversation. But the main thing that I wanted to address is the fact that we got to open our eyes. And it's not the fake woke stuff that's going out there. It's just an understanding, a common sense understanding with all this stuff. Who's manipulating us? Who's benefiting from it? Following the money. You can't complain about something, which is what old boy was talking about in the last video. It doesn't make sense. It's like an ideal clash. You can't complain about one thing here, but then celebrate the music over here. It's, you know what I mean? It's just a walking contradiction. So therefore, and the fact that he's willing to point it out, we need to be willing to point that out. We need to address that. So therefore, because why? Because it's negatively affecting our community the most. But I just wanted to throw that out there for the people that do tap in from all over different communities, just to use that as an example, not just to scream at Black people, but to use this as an example to understand why exactly Tate is being treated how he's being treated. Why my dog, the top G, you feel me? Why he getting treated the way he's treated? Because I appreciate the message that he's giving out, and I do not appreciate them trying to silence him, but I do understand it. And I understand it because they don't want people to do well. They don't want somebody with his influence to be pushing people, empowering them in certain ways where clearly that particular side, the left and all this other weirdo stuff is trying to stunt our growth in a lot of ways, make us dumb. And to do that, well, they're doing it because then they can control it. It's easier to manipulate people who aren't empowered rather than manipulating somebody who understands. You get what I'm saying? Somebody who understands and who can just point out something as simple as to say, like, okay, so you cancel the person pushing for the positivity, but then you embrace and promote the person who's talking about misogynistic stuff, raping, robbing, all these different things, drugging. So we got to figure out a way to make it make sense. Andrew Tate, keep pushing what you're pushing. He mentioned in his video stoicism, that he promotes stoicism. I suggest a lot of us get in tune with stoic principles, because it's going to allow us, especially when you're having these type of conversations, to not get tricked into getting overly emotional and to just approach things with a higher level and deeper level of understanding. So that's what I wanted to share with y'all today. Hopefully y'all got something to take away from it. Hopefully you can engage. Make sure that you're liking and subscribing. Every time I tell y'all to like, I got to say dislike if you don't like it, but make sure that you write a comment explaining why you don't like it. So therefore, maybe there's something that I'm missing, we're missing, and that I can grow from. So, like, subscribe, make sure that you're tuning in with us. Let's have the convo. Tell me how you feel. As you're going through the video, type how you feel. You don't have to wait until you listen to the whole thing. As you're going through, you can actually, reply. Don't feel like you have to wait till the end. It's actually cool when you're going through and I'm seeing the comment thread. You don't have to put exactly where you are in the video. Just comment, and then you can always reply to that comment. We can start a thread, and that way we can go along the journey, because it's good to kind of see how our brain processes as we're looking at something. Just like I had to reprocess things when I was listening to the gentleman when I was talking about the NAACP, and then that one brother came on and hit the nail on the head, hit every point, and was going at the other individual who was trying to do the same old BS that a lot of these people do to convince themselves to not hold certain people accountable for something wrong, but to say like, oh, well, it's not that bad. You know, we could just use it in this way. No, it is bad. It's being used in a bad way. It's terrible. It's destroying our culture, destroying our children, and destroying our lives in a lot of ways. So let's make sure that we're holding ourselves to a higher standard, strength and honor. We always talk about following and developing foundational morals and principles. And y'all know how we do, man. Onward and upward. Get to the bag with integrity, of course. And let's win. I'll leave y'all with that. Ew.